in the December of 2019, the Brazilian band that I was touring with went into my rehearsal space, and the rhythm section, João and Lé, little João went home back to Brazil, but the other two guys hung around for a while and recorded some basic tracks for an album on Logic Pro, which is like a Macintosh home studio software. And so they recorded basic tracks, and I was like, okay, I'm going to make a record at home on my computer by myself for the first time ever. And then I didn't really get started on it, and then the pandemic hit, and I wasn't really too inspired. And then around summertime, maybe, I kind of started plugging away at it, and just sort of worked on it slowly and casually, and then by the end of November, it was kind of pretty close to done. I was going to take a month off and start in January, and then January kind of went by and I didn't work on it. And now February is gone and I haven't really touched it again. Mm. But I'm going to try to finish it up here in March, and then start mixing it. I'm going to send it down to Brazil to have those guys mix it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Although I'm mixing it as I go on my computer as well.
Sure.
And then so hopefully we'll finish it up this spring or by summer and have a record out in the fall.
Oh, that's great. And then first of all, that's super exciting, and congratulations. I know you identify as lazy, but it's pretty impressive to have done. I know a lot of people in this last year who've just kind of been like this for a year. So,
Yeah, I've mostly been like that. These songs are pretty old, and
well, I was going to ask that. Like you've got a bunch of, I would argue, pretty great songs that have, from the last, 6-8 years, that I know have been, that show up in live sets, but haven't really been recorded. And I'm curious if this album will be more of that stuff, like All Right or Understood or that kind of stuff.
Totally, exactly. And a few of those songs, like All Right, and there's one called Elements. There's a few of them that have been recorded, like for the last record or even the record before. I think All Right we recorded for oh shoot, I feel like we recorded it, maybe we just did it on the last record. Anyway, the newest song is still from 4 years ago probably.
Wow. I would imagine that if you're in a band and you're working with the same group of people for a period of time, you build up an understanding where someone can be like, hey, that doesn't sound great. And you just have kind of I don't want to say BS detector, but you have like a quality control type thing. And you have a group of people who are there to kind of go, hey, what if we try this? What if we try that? And I'm wondering if with the lineup changes over the last few years, if you feel like where you find that, do the new guys that come in and play with you sort of fit that role pretty quickly, or is it more like you have kind of other people outside that you run stuff past? Or I'm just kind of curious about that.
Well, I think that people that I play with, the band has been around long enough that people kind of get what we're about and kind of know what the songs need, and kind of just trust them. I think they understand it. And also, I'm just more, I trust them to even do things that maybe I don't even, just because if I don't like something, when I was young, I'd be like, no, it should be this way. And now I'm like, well, that's what I think, but that doesn't mean it's right, I think if they have some ideas, maybe that sounds better, maybe more people will enjoy that the way they're doing it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I just have less of a attachment to a vision or whatever. I have just more trust in other ideas, even like I said, even if they're things that maybe don't groove for me, but I trust that they groove for someone if these people are doing them.
So so you would say like it's almost more, maybe not collaborative, but a more open, a little more like, yeah, we all do our thing and that's cool. Like it's just kind of an understood thing.
Yeah, and it's really always been, that's basically been the way it's always been, I've always played with people that I trusted, and here and there, I might have some specific, specific thing in mind, or, subtle thing that I'd want someone to try to get and see if we can get this to sound like I imagine it in my mind or whatever. But for the most part, forever, it's always been collaborative like that. People,
Yeah.
drummers and bass players and other guitar players have mostly just done what they wanted to do, and it's always been sounded rad to me. I've been lucky enough to just play with a lot of cool people that have good ideas. Yeah, I've been very fortunate to be able to know a bunch of awesome musicians. I mean, first of all, in Idaho, to find these incredible people, like the Bretts, two of just the greatest musicians ever, one of the greatest bass players ever, and one of the greatest guitar players ever.
Yeah.
Happened to be Boise, or, Idaho people. And then, and then people from other places, of course, too. And, I've played with some other people that, that are good, but just didn't seem awesome didn't seem right for Built to Spill. There's still something that has to be, I don't know what it is, but there's something that has to be particular for Built to Spill.